Alright, I'm going to grab this cube here and I'll hold my left mouse button down and just drag it off. The left mouse button is still held down and I let go. This brings the cube in with no tessellation. The tessellation is over here. If you can't see it, pull the palette down. What this does is it adds more edges to it, but we're not going to add any edges to it. And when I subdivide it, as you can see, it balls up into a little sphere here. And the reason why it does that is because it has no tessellation, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So what I'm going to do is describe some other stuff here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be using the smoothing over here in the DG. It's called Display Smoothing Control Shapes. This works when the model is subdivided. So I'm going to subdivide it, then I'm going to turn this on, then I'm going to go ahead and select the controls. Alright, as you can see, I have a wireframe here. The wireframe is indicating the model at the lowest subdivision level. It is previewing it at this level here. If I want to alter this mesh, I can pull on the wireframe. Control Z that. And if I want to pull on the high subdivision mesh here, we'll select the face, and we can do it that way. Control Z that. So, like I said, must have subdivisions, and we'll turn the smoothing back on. You can alter faces and edges and points. Alright, this is step 2. Remember, the wireframe is the low cage of the mesh, and then you can visualize and see the mesh inside at the higher subdivision level. Alright, what I'm going to do is go over here to the dynamic geometry, and I'm going to select the arrow icon, and it's going to remove all the smoothing and any history of this cube, whatever was done to it. Make sure the object is selected. We're going to go edit, and we're going to clone this. Alright, I am going to give it 3 subdivision levels, and since they're cloned, whatever I do to one will happen to the other. Alright, at this point in time, just because this object over here on the right is selected, I'm going to remove the history. But it is still going to be a clone object. So whatever I do to this one here will happen to the one on the left, and vice versa. We'll turn off the smoothing on this one here. As you can see what happens over there. Alright, we got our higher subdivision here, which is a clone of this one here, which is the lower one. This is basically the same thing as how the cage would work, but now I have 2 separate objects and they're cloned. With the cage here, the cage wireframe is resembling the box on the right, and the object in the middle is the higher subdivision level. So the cage with the smoothing down here is basically almost the same as smoothing. Not quite the same, but they kind of pretty much do the same thing as far as visual effects. Alright, I'm going to turn off the smoothing because I'm going to be in clone mode here. Clone. Last time I said clone in a video, it sounded like corn. I don't know why. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and select the edges here, Control A. And I'm going to use the vertex modeling here, and we're going to use this edge tool here. Some of these edge tools, sometimes they appear they'll do the same, but they don't. So we're going to select this one here. This is extract around. There's the command view if you want to see that. And I'm going to pull apart a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see a little bit, and look at the sphere on the left, and when I let go, and we'll go ahead and let's take a look at this on a smooth here. Kind of looks like a beveled cube here. I'll give it a little bit more subdivision level, which is pretty neat. I got a tutorial on dice. I mean a beveled dice, not a beveled cube. Well, basically the same thing. So, alright, we'll go ahead and select back here, and I'm going to go ahead and select some of the faces on here all the way around it. And when I do something to this cube on the right, take a look on the one on the left. I'm I'm going to hold the control key down and keep it held down. As you can see, I'll tip this a little bit. I got this red cube over here. I'm going to put my cursor on it and click it just one time, no dragging. Look what happened to the cube over on the left. Press the enter key. And it's all kinds of neat stuff that you can make with it. Alright, I'm going to control Z this. Get this back. And as you can see here, I'll go ahead and select one of these edges over here. And when these edges get close to one another, they give it a harder edge. The further away they get, it gets a little bit more smoother. So I'm going to move this one over here and keep an eye on the one on the left here. As you can see there, as it's gotten smoother. Control Z that. We'll go on the next step. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and delete some faces here on this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this around so you can see it and delete it. And we're going to go ahead and scale this in here. We're going to select this object here, and I'm going to go ahead and give it some thickness. You can come up with some pretty neat stuff here. And I'll validate that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and delete these, and I'm going to start over, and we're going to do the cube here again. Just kind of basically go over it, Control A, vertex modeling, extract edge around. At any point in time, you don't have to clone at the beginning. You can clone at any time, so we'll just edit, clone, and subdivide this 4 times. This one is selected. We'll remove that one there. Alright, now this cube here, I want to go ahead and I want to smooth this edge without, I'm going to do a different route than pulling these edges apart. Because you might end up having quite a few edges, and it could be a little bit complicated. So let's go ahead and take this one here. I'm going to need to get I'm going to need to subdivide this at least one time, and I'll just collapse the G here. Okay, now I want to isolate this area on the edge of this dice. For me to do this, I need to select face mode, and I need to select the faces. This is going to isolate this for just this area. Then I'm going over to UV and paints. Then I'm going to use the soften brush. And when I move my mouse on this here, I'm going to pull down and click. Look at the cube on the left, what's happening. I'll Control Z that and take another look while I do it again. Okay, now I'm going to do it up over here. As you can see, nothing happens to the cube over here, is because I got it isolated for the faces that were selected. Now it appears that the edges are selected, but we'll abort that, and which it is, it's the faces that are selected. There's other tools up here that's pretty neat that you can do. I mean, the pinch tool and the inflate tool. So this is something you can kind of experiment around with. I'm going to go ahead and pinch this up and look at the one on the left here. We'll abort that. Alright, now this works pretty easy and pretty fast because I'm using the lower subdivision mesh, and it's working real easy. Now if I select the higher subdivision mesh, and we're just going to go ahead and use the soften brush, and I'll just crank up the strength. You can see nothing is happening to the cube on the right, because this actually has got a lot of geometry in it, and it's going to be hard for it to alter the clone mesh over here because it's too much geometry. So start off with the lower one, and then we'll use the soften brush. I better kick this down because it'll go quite a bit, and that's the way to do that. can see I have nothing isolated, so anything I select, it'll affect it. And I think that's going to be the end of this tutorial, and thank you very much.